now.
Well, on again, off again. We expect that to be the common theme this week when it comes to rain across the Arklatex. Further down south, though, in Lake Charles, they're seeing a lot of rain as well. Some schools and businesses even had to close today because of the rain. You're looking at video from downtown Lake Charles from around 10 a.m. today. It was raining so hard, it was kind of hard to see that Capital One building you see in the background. And we're going to send it over to our chief meteorologist, Jeff Castle. And Jeff, I know that it was raining here and now it's sunny. Like, what should we expect this week?
Well, and it's going to be kind of really that same situation for us, Destiny, kind of in and out of the wet weather. It's taking a little bit of a pause for now. But more is going to be on the way tomorrow. This is what Future Track is suggesting tomorrow afternoon may look like, with another round of rain and thunderstorms coming through parts of the Arklatex. We'll take a closer look at this. I'll have that hour-by-hour forecast ahead in just a few minutes. For now, though, again, there's a little bit of a pause out there. Shreveport's dried out. All of East Texas is dry. Still a couple of spots of light rain in Nevada County and Arkansas, and rain has now cleared you in Natchitoches and continued to move on away. So if you have some evening plans, think overall weather's going to cooperate for anything that you do have going on outdoors, with most of us looking at dry weather. Temperatures are basically hanging steady here, mostly in the 70s. I-20 northward, southern parts of the Arklatex, Mansfield to Florine to Natchitoches. We're generally sitting in the 60s right now. Speaking of Natchitoches, this is our NSU Skycam. Still some wet roadways, but again, the rain has ended in Natchitoches and will continue to stay dry down in that direction for at least the next several hours. From the KSLA First Alert weather app, that chance for any additional rain pretty low. Might be a little bit of light rain that kind of skirts by the far southern part of the area, but most of us looking at a dry evening with temperatures basically hanging out in the low 70s over the next few hours. Back in just a few moments. Again, we're tracking out the off and on rain for the rest of the week in your First Alert forecast.
His roots in the Bossier City area run as deep as the seeds planted in his family's longtime farmland in South Bossier Parish. Tonight, we're hearing from the family of former Congressman and Louisiana Governor Buddy Roemer, who passed away at the age of 77. Before graduating from Bossier High School, Buddy Roemer grew up in a home just a few miles south of the city limits of Bossier City. That home has been in the family ever since the time his grandparents bought it back in the 1930s. Roemer's nephew, Drew Leffler, and his wife and two kids now live in the old Roemer home. And he says even after becoming governor, Buddy was no stranger to South Bossier.
He would come up here quite a bit. Even when he was governor, he was up here quite a bit. Or we were down there for some function. I was lucky enough, I went to LSU in Baton Rouge and got to live there at the governor's mansion. He invited me, and I had to babysit a couple of times for him. That's how I paid my rent.
On KSLA News 12 at 6, KSLA News 12's Doug Warner will share how Buddy challenged his nephew Drew to keep that South Bossier farming alive and growing. First winning election to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1980, Buddy left his seat in Congress after defeating three challengers in the 1987 race for governor. Buddy would replace Governor Edwin Edwards in Baton Rouge. With word of his passing, local historians are now speaking out on Buddy's impact on our state's political history.
He leaves a hole, you know. In many ways, Buddy was a bridge. In many ways, he was a very forward thinker, but he was also somebody that we could look at and respect and know, no matter what kind of stuff he did or what kind of proposals he made, he was still one of us.
Buddy Roemer had a unique style of banter that brought people together. Dr. Joyner says Buddy would have enjoyed maneuvering through today's fractured politics in D.C. and in Baton Rouge. On his Twitter page, Governor John Bel Edwards said, in part, "I hope that we will all carry on his legacy by espousing his positive, passionate approach to public service." New at 5, starting next month, Texans will no longer be receiving the additional $300 of federal unemployment money. Governor Greg Abbott opted the state out of further federal unemployment compensation related to the pandemic starting next month. He says the number of job openings is almost identical to the number of Texans receiving unemployment benefits. Plus, he noted the high number of fraudulent claims filed during the pandemic. Louisiana lawmakers have started looking at a bill that stops state offices from requiring vaccinations. The bill bans places like the DMV from requiring someone to get vaccinated for a driver's license, and it prohibits the office from adding someone's immunization status to licenses. A second bill would allow you to sue businesses and schools that require you to get a COVID shot and then you get a bad reaction. Walmart and Sam's Club and now Target and CVS have dropped their mask rule for fully vaccinated customers and workers. For now, masks are still required at other retailers such as Target, CVS, and Kroger. The companies say they'll continue to reevaluate their mask policies based on the CDC guidance. And right now on our web, you'll find a web poll on our KSLA News 12 homepage. We're asking, should business owners be able to require proof of vaccination? So far, more than 70% of the people who voted so far say no. There's still time for you to weigh in, though. Again, you'll find that poll on our KSLA News 12 app in the center of our homepage. It's a somber day for students and teachers at North Webster Parish High School. As many of you read on our KSLA News 12 app, 2 sophomore students drowned over the weekend in Claiborne Parish. KSLA News 12's Taylor Davis reports in Spring Hill.
Not only does the weather make today gloomy, but also the death of 2 teenagers here in Spring Hill. Many people I spoke to say this is a very close-knit community and everyone is feeling the impact of losing them. Right now, I'm standing in front of the football field where they were expected to play next school year.
The community is traumatized over what happened.
Fannie Jefferson is talking about Tavious Tate and Donald Owens, 2 16-year-olds found in Flatlick Creek after going swimming with 3 others. Both boys lived in Spring Hill and went to North Webster High School. Jefferson says her grandson knew them and is taking it hard.
He's trying to be strong, but I see it in his face, you know, the hurt. And all I can do is hug him and let him know, you know, that I love you.
Both boys played football at the school and had a really good reputation. Football coach John Ware says, and I quote, "Both of these young men were on our plan to be starting cornerbacks for the 2021-22 season. They would have been numbers 86 and 87. I can't think of one without thinking of the other. I honestly feel like both of these guys would have played football."
We all were a member of a church here in Spring Hill. I know their mother, and they was at church almost every Sunday.
Barbara Applewhite says this is a tragedy for the community, and she sends her condolences to the family.
We're there for the families and praying for them. Definitely, we are praying.
I reached out to the mayor, and he is saddened by the news and sends out his condolences and prayers to the family. At 6, hear from the superintendent about how this is impacting the school in Spring Hill. Taylor Davis, KSLA News 12.
Now, KSLA First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Castle.
Good Monday afternoon, everyone. I gave you the first alert at the end of last week that this week would be wet, off and on, in and out of the rainfall. And that continues to be our forecast, with rain chances staying elevated the next few days. Some days will be wetter than others. We do expect some scattered rain and storms tomorrow, 60% on your rain chances. Right now, probably our most widespread rain the rest of the week will be on Thursday or on Wednesday. That chance for rain now sitting at 80%. And then by Thursday, Friday, rain chances are going down. And right now, we're optimistic that by the time we hit the weekend, we'll be back to dry weather. Flash flood watch is in effect for all of the Arklatex until 7 a.m. Thursday. I don't think we'll necessarily have widespread flooding, but we could get heavy enough rain in some areas where we could see some flooding concerns as the week wears on. Of course, we'll keep you first alert if any of those watch areas are upgraded to any warnings in the next several days. For now, though, getting a little bit of a lull out there. Live first alert Doppler radar showing most of the rain has now cleared you in Natchitoches Parish, except for the southeastern tip there. But for most of us this evening, should be good to go if you have maybe a walk planned after dinner or just wanted to get out and work in the yard, although probably pretty soggy out there after the rain from earlier today. We do have a lot of wet weather down around the I-10 corridor, but fortunately for us, most of this should stay there. Out to the west into West Texas, a couple tornado watches in effect here, and what develops shower and storm wise in this part of the region back in West Texas will largely influence our rain chances heading into your Tuesday. Let's track it out here with our high resolution future track. Again, pretty quiet now, and we'll stay that way through much of this evening. By tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., could have a few scattered showers that do pop up here around the I-30 corridor, but very likely much of the Arklatex should be fairly quiet as we start the day tomorrow. Notice the rain and storms, though, getting organized back into North Texas, back towards Dallas first thing tomorrow morning. These will continue to develop and then track into the Arklatex around this time tomorrow. Now, keep in mind, future track may be a little off on the specific details. Right now showing northeast Texas, southwest Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, where this is going to be located, but this could certainly change positions once we get here. The model's trying to forecast rain and storms that do not exist yet. But bottom line is we're going to be tracking more scattered wet weather tomorrow, so just keep the umbrella handy. It does appear that the afternoon will be a bit wetter than what we'll see first thing in the morning. May get another break here as we head into Tuesday night, but as we work our way past midnight Tuesday night into Wednesday, more rain and storms coming on in. In fact, your Wednesday could be similar to today, with rain and storms arriving early in the morning through the midday hours, and then perhaps another break out there as we head later into the day on Wednesday. Just some spotty showers overnight tonight. Most of us likely stay dry. 67 for that overnight low. Tomorrow, again, the morning hours not as wet as the afternoon. We'll see those rain chances pick up after the noon hour tomorrow. Into the 70s most of the morning. Should briefly hit the lower 80s before some of that rain starts to set on in tomorrow. 82 in Shreveport will go 80 Texarkana, 82 Mansfield, and also 82 down in Manny. Here's your first alert 7-day forecast. Again, in and out of the rain and the storms through the end of the week. Wednesday will be the wettest day. Friday looks a little drier with temperatures mostly in the mid 80s by the end of the week. Again, your weekend optimistic that will dry things out, but it's going to be very warm, borderline hot, and also quite steamy with temperatures well into the 80s this weekend and on into early next week. You're up to date with the latest First Alert 7-day forecast.
Tonight we're watching scenes of horror unfolding across Israel and Palestine. Talks to negotiate a truce between the two sides have stalled as Israeli airstrikes and Hamas rocket attacks continue, with civilians caught in the crossfire. The growing number of civilian deaths is causing worry within the White House as President Joe Biden faces increasing pressure from fellow Democrats and foreign allies to call for a ceasefire. Isabel Rosales is in Washington with the latest.
We're coming off the heels of the deadliest day in this conflict in Gaza. More than 200 people are dead, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. In Israel, at least 10 are dead. And President Joe Biden is facing more and more criticism from the international community and his own party to do more. Amid targeted Israeli airstrikes on Gaza and a barrage of rocket fire from Hamas toward Israel, Palestinian and Israeli civilians caught in the middle. The mounting civilian death toll is raising alarms in Washington. Some progressive Democrats and foreign allies are calling on President Joe Biden to increase the pressure on Israel and call for an immediate ceasefire. The president spoke to the Israeli prime minister and the president of the Palestinian Authority over the weekend, and Monday said he'd be speaking with Benjamin Netanyahu again. But so far, Biden has resisted calling for a ceasefire himself, aside from this passing reference on Sunday.
And my administration is going to continue to engage Palestinians and Israelis and other regional partners to work towards sustained calm.
The administration hopeful negotiations will yield a truce.
We've been working intensively behind the scenes to try to bring an end to the conflict.
But those talks, led by Egypt and Qatar, have stalled over two major issues, according to a senior Hamas leader with knowledge of the mediation efforts. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also indicating it will take some time for the fighting to cease.
We'll do whatever it takes to restore order. I hope it won't take long, but it's not immediate.
The White House says its focus is on finding a lasting resolution.
We all know that the only way to bring an end to violence, to bring an end to this escalation of violence, is for there to be a two-state solution over time.
The deadline for filing your income taxes is approaching, and we hear it's causing some confusion. If you still haven't filed your taxes, today is the deadline for those of you that live in Arkansas. The IRS extended the tax deadline due to COVID-19, but due to the winter storm back in February, taxpayers in Texas, along with those in Louisiana and Oklahoma, will have until June 15th to file. A new record. The Federal Aviation Administration wants to fine one airline passenger for more than $52,000. The agency says this comes after the passenger tried to get into the cockpit of a Delta flight back in December. Since then, the FAA has gotten 1,300 reports of bad behavior. Passengers can dispute those fines, but typically the maximum fine is $35,000. We've got a scam alert to tell you about this evening. The Better Business Bureau says thieves are advertising airline deals through fake websites, and some bargain hunters are taking the bait by booking through those websites or calling phony customer service numbers. They then receive confirmation emails, but then the emails don't contain their ticket information.
When you're scammed by one of these things, you have to write the loss off because you're never going to see the funds. So the main thing the Better Business Bureau wants consumers to know is that you have to take a moment and do your homework. Yes, I know you want to go on vacation.
A little quick research before you give out your credit card information can save you a lot of trouble later. The Better Business Bureau suggests double checking the website's address, look for typos, and look for an image of a lock next to the address to make sure you're clicking on a secure link. The CDC is issuing new guidelines for cruise ships as companies look to resume sailing this summer. The CDC now requires cruise lines to look for symptoms or signs of COVID-19 and screen for a known close contact exposure to a person with COVID-19 within the past 14 days. Passengers with signs or symptoms of COVID-19 could still go on the cruise if they're fully vaccinated, but can be denied boarding if they're not fully vaccinated or don't have documentation of recovery. We're back with a few top stories we've been following around the nation. If you're on death row in South Carolina, you can now choose between the electric chair or firing squad. The governor signed this bill into law in hopes that the state can restart executions after an involuntary 10-year pause. And today, the Supreme Court agreed to take up a major abortion case in its next term. This case could present a direct challenge to Roe v. Wade, the 1973 landmark Supreme Court decision legalizing abortion nationwide. The Benton High School commencement ceremony will be inside the gym tonight because of the weather, but that won't dampen the achievements of all graduating seniors this year, a school year unlike any other that we've seen. KSLA News 12's Christian Picos reports.
Hey, good evening from Benton High School. Well, in just a couple of hours, hundreds of seniors here at Benton will graduate after what has been a challenging and difficult last year of school. Look, graduation is always such a meaningful time for parents, students, and teachers. But this year's ceremonies are going to be so much more meaningful simply because of all of the difficulties that this community has faced throughout the past year. So get a good look at your screen right now. These are the dates and times of this week's graduation ceremonies. Tomorrow, Bossier High School graduates at 7 p.m. On Friday, Houghton High School graduates at 7 p.m. Plain Dealing graduates at 10 a.m. on Sunday, and Airline High School graduates on Sunday at 8 p.m. I spoke with Jason Rowland. He's the Assistant Superintendent of Administration at Bossier Schools to talk to him a little bit more about how these challenging experiences will only mature and shape these young students going forward.
The struggle has created the strength, and without the struggle, they would not be as strong as they are. And because of that, they're going to benefit from this for the rest of their lives.
Of course, the school district wants to ensure the safety of all of the guests attending tonight's ceremony and the ceremonies happening later this week. Masks are encouraged, but they are not required, and the district is also asking families to sit together in pods and to space them out from other people. You can go to your KSLA News 12 app right now, find this story. We have all the information you need about the other ceremonies happening this week. Guys, back to you.